Hi, my name is Josh Brown and this is my persuasive speech. How would you feel if you had less than a year to live unless you received a vital organ transplant? Well, you'd be joining a list of over 120,000 other Americans who are in need of this. Because of the lack of donors in the United States, 18 of these individuals will die each day waiting for their organ transplant. My speech today hopefully will give you a little more information on organ donation and the benefits that can come from it. And hopefully that's so someday one person will be able to take their name off the list and continue to live a healthy life. I first would like to tell you about organ donor recipients and the process in which they need to go through in receiving an organ donation. So you're probably asking yourself, who is eligible to receive and what do they need to do? Well, the first step in receiving an organ donation is simply being diagnosed. The most common diagnosis for receiving an organ transplant is end-stage organ failure. Some examples of end-stage organ failure include psoriasis, diabetes, and coronary heart disease. After you're diagnosed, the next step is to get your name on the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network list. As I stated earlier, and according to organdonor.gov, there are already over 120,000 other names on this list. After you get your name on the list, it is best to get some information of your nearest hospital where you might be receiving your organ transplant procedure. After you get on the list as well, you can check your status on the list at any time by contacting your transplant team or transplant center. The last step of receiving an organ donation is to simply plan your finances. Of course, it is sad enough for someone to receive an organ transplant, but there are many expenses before and after the procedure. According to organdonor.gov, the average cost of a transplant in 2008 ranged anywhere from $259,000 for a single kidney transplant up to $1.2 million for a major heart or lung transplant. And because this is so expensive, your insurance may cover some of the costs. But of course, whatever the insurance does not cover, the recipient is responsible for those finances. Well, you now know the process in which organ recipients go through to receive an organ donation. Now let me tell you of the benefits of actually becoming an organ donor. So why should you become an organ donor? And who can actually donate? Well, the fact is, everyone should not rule themselves out as becoming a potential donor. For no one can be too young or too old to donate. Of course, if you're under the age of 18, you do need a permission from a parent or guardian to do so. In fact, there are very few exclusions of people who cannot donate. Some exclusions include HIV infection, active cancer, or a systematic infection. According to donatelife.org, a single donor can save up to 8 lives. And that same donor can improve the lives of over 50 or more people through organ donation and tissue donation. The benefits of becoming an organ donor are obvious just from the amount of people you are able to save and help. Now that everyone has no excuse to not become an organ donor, let you know the steps to actually become an organ donor. Now, the most obvious and most common way that people know of becoming an organ donor is to simply designate it on your driver's license. According to donatelife.org, 90% of Americans are in support of organ donation, but only 30% actually know the whole process to go through to become one. After you have designated on your driver's license, the second step is to inform your family and friends of your intentions. Of course, it is ultimately your decision, but it's best to notify your family and friends so post-mortem there's no confusion of what your decision really is. And the final step of becoming an organ donor is to put your intentions in your living will. This is the only way to make sure that your intentions go through as followed, because a legal representative is there as your witness. Also in your will, you can specify which some organs that you wish to not donate. You can also specify if there's someone you would like to donate to. Well, there you have it. Becoming an organ donator is simple as going down to the DMV and doing so. I hope my speech gave you a little more information on organ donation and the benefits that can come from it. If you're already an organ donator, I'd just like to thank you for becoming one of the already 100 million Americans who are registered as doing so. If you're not an organ donator, I hope that my speech gave you a little more information to consider doing so. Just know, if you are an organ donator, someday someone will be able to take their name off that list and continue to live a healthy life.